All right, so we are going to do a little practice with shading, and you're going to use half of a page, and it's kind of abstract. And you're just going to go through. You can make shapes if you want to. There's some lids at the back if you want to make some circles. You can use a ruler and make triangles or something like that if you want to, or you can just play with some very organic sorts of shapes. But then you're going to cut back through it and you're going to create some very abstract shapes and create just a general abstract composition. Then you are going to come across, at the end, when you've finished, you're going to come to your final picture, and each section is going to be shaded with a gradient. And there are 4 pencils in the set on your desk, and they range from what's known as an H. You might have a 2H or a 4H, one of those at your desk. Very light pencil. There should be something that says HB, and that's kind of middle tone. It's like the yellow number 2 pencil that you grew up with in school, kind of a mid-tone pencil. And then you're going to have some darker ones, a 2B, that one's on the darker side, and then you're going to have a 4B, maybe a 3B, but a 3 or a 4B, so it's going to be a darker pencil to create the darkest of your tones. Each shape is going to be colored using only one pencil, and you want to work from darkest to lightest or lightest to darkest. Whichever way works for you best is fine, but you want to think about creating this gradient that changes from one to the other. In this case, I want this corner of this piece to be very, very dark. So I am going to come in here and start by making the darkest shade that I can make, and I'm using the 2B, and I'm seeing just how dark can I actually get with this 2B pencil. At the other end of this, I want to see what's the lightest shade, and I'm going to scoot way back on my pencil so I can't push down so hard, and I'm going to do a very small movement with my pencil, and I'm going to see how light I can easily get with this 2B. I can get pretty light. The next thing that I kind of do is look at sort of in between. Don't let yourself get too long on your pencil stroke. Pencil stroke is how far the pencil itself is moving. If I color really long with my pencil stroke and I start making really long lines, it's very hard to get that to look smooth. Those lines will always show in my coloring. But if I can keep my coloring much shorter, I have a much better chance of having a smooth surface that doesn't show the individual lines. And I want it to transition slowly to the lighter shade because I want to create a gradient. And I can do that by layering, going back a different direction, putting a little bit more on, adding a little more pressure, shortening up the stroke even more so I concentrate more pencil into a smaller area. And I want it to transition slowly to this lighter shade. But I still want to keep some contrast with the shape next to it. So this took me about an hour and a half to actually do this. So for me it was like one class period. Might take you two, that's okay. I have a little area here that got a little dark. I want to lighten it up just by what they call pummeling with my eraser. Just to pick that up just a little bit. Notice that I have not ever, not once, rubbed this with my fingers. You can still see, you know, the grain of the paper and the pencil. Don't smear with your fingers. It's the worst possible technique you can use. It may make it look nice and smooth, but the oils from your hands will eventually turn the paper kind of this weird yellow-gray color, and it'll break down the pencil that you actually put on the paper. So drawings that have been done that way are not generally the best in a few years. So avoid this stuff. Don't smear with your fingertips. In this case, we don't want to smear anything. I want you to control the pencil. You must use all 4 pencils. So like this shape right here was done with the lightest pencils. So was this one. This one was done with that 2B. This was done with the HB. So was this shade. This one here was done with the 4B, the darkest of the dark. So what you want to experiment with is, you know, how dark can you get? How light can you get? And making that gradient, that transition in between, because that is the key to making realistic objects look three-dimensional. Being able to create that subtle transition from the dark to the light and that slow change. And the best way to do it is just going back in and adding another layer where you need it. Maybe crossing back through in a different direction to slowly build that up. But that is your assignment for the next 2 classes.